Hey, what's up, everybody? Brotrio here, wrapping up 2019 because 2019 was a pretty good year for gaming. A lot of threes came out, a lot of sequels, and a lot of damn good games came out. So we are here to talk about the best. And, well, not every game can make the list. So either we didn't enjoy it quite as much as these 10, or we didn't play it. And you have to keep in mind, for our lists, we take our top 10s, our personal top 10s, and kind of aggregate them all together, give the higher ones point values so they get more points and stuff like that. So then we come up with our mutual top 10 list. And that is what we're going off of. So keep that in mind for some of the scores, and be sure to let us know what your top 10s are and everything. And let's get on with the list. Psych! We're not on with the list quite yet because this year was so good for gaming. We each have our own honorable mentions we just have to shout out. These were some of the top of the list that didn't quite make the top 10. So I have to give a shout out to Super Mario Maker 2 because it is absolutely ridiculous. Nintendo is still pulling the wool over our eyes and selling us a game tool to make games for them so you can have infinite Mario, but I mean, when you have infinite Mario, no one gives a shit. Not to mention, they just updated it so you can get a Master Sword power-up and turn into Link with a full playable move set, which is utterly ridiculous.
It's so weird, but so fun.
Mario Maker 2 brought back everything from the first one and added some other extra good stuff too.
I'm going to give a shout out to The Tourist, recommended to me by Jamie Lure on a video a long time ago where we were predicting the September Nintendo Direct. It turned out to be a really good game. Very short. If you want a game to beat in an afternoon, get it. If that's too short for you, don't get it. But it's a fun time. There's a lot of weird little labyrinths to explore, strange happenings going on with it, and a story that unfolds in ways that you probably won't expect.
And speaking of a story that goes in ways you don't expect, my honorable mention, Astral Chain, the game was just really, really cool. Like, the graphics looked great. It was surprising that it was on Switch, to be honest, because everything flowed so well, and the combat was super fun. I love Chaos Legion, and this was basically a new Chaos Legion, but you're also a detective investigating stuff, and there was just a lot going on. You get to fight God at the end. It's great.
That's a spoiler.
There's gonna be a spoiler warning.
Okay.
Scotty, that's like half the animes and video games.
That's true. So now, officially, moving on with the list, number 10 is Days Gone. Why? Because I freaking loved this game so much. When we were making the list, I'm sorry for you Mario Maker fans, Mario Maker 2 was actually number 10. But I liked this game so much, I pitched the biggest hissy fit and cried until I got my way to convince them to put it at number 10.
He did. It was terrible.
Days Gone is freaking amazing. So it gets a lot of negative hype because IGN gave it a 6 and a lot of reviewers gave it middling scores, but Days Gone is at least a little higher than the middle. It's lower tier great, but it really just has a very good open world for a zombie game. It's very populated, but not at the same time, which is good for a zombie apocalypse. And the freakers are really interesting because there's multiple classes of zombies, and not to mention there's a million of them.
There's so many.
Taking on a horde is easily one of the most stressful situations you can get yourself into in gaming, and also the most satisfying to complete. The bike mechanics in this game are the best. It's the best motorcycle in gaming, period. And you can fight me in the comments, but I don't think you can, because Days Gone's motorcycle action works very well. It's always fun to get on your bike and ride. The story went on a little long for Days Gone. It felt like it ended, and then they just piled more onto it. and then it kind of just goes into setting up for a sequel. So maybe that was it. But Days Gone is definitely worth it. You can probably get it for relatively cheap now. So if you can get your hands on Days Gone, definitely play it. It's a good, at least like 30-hour game, which is more than you'd think you get out of a motorcycle zombie game. One of my favorite franchises is Gears of War. So anytime a new Gears game comes out, it's always a treat for us. And Gears 5 definitely did not disappoint. So it came out, and it was definitely one of the odder ducks in the Gears franchise, because one, you don't play as Phoenix, so that's a little odd. And two, it was like way bigger than every Gears game had been, because it moved to like this weird open area thing. So you're playing Gears, but in big old areas similar to like God of War. And you get on your little skiff, and you can zoom all over the place, so you don't have to roadie run in those big areas, which is good.
Yeah.
And there's also like legendary weapons you can find scattered throughout the maps, like a long shot with a bunch of cool decals on it that has a two bullet clip instead of one. And then you get to the multiplayer, and it's absolutely fantastic.
That's the bread and butter of Gears right there.
Probably the cleanest gunplay Gears has ever had. And then also you have the tried and true classic multiplayer you know and love. Horde mode is just as good as it's always been. Guardian and other versus modes are just as good as always.
I love Guardian being back.
The new escape mode is really fun. It's 3v3 escape. Do whatever you can to defeat the Locust and get the hell out. It's awesome. Gears 5, it definitely earns its spot on this list. Gears 5 had the unfortunate circumstance of launching really close to a lot of other AAA titles, so as we have called it before, it kind of got Horizon Zero Dawned this year. Every year has one, and unfortunately this landed for Gears 5, but it is definitely a diamond in the rough. If you can play it, go do it. "2019 accomplished a lot in gaming, but quite possibly the biggest upset was that EA did not f*** up Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, buddy, it's so good.
That game is definitely worthy of a spot on this top 10, because one, it's a Star Wars game, so awesome, and two, it's just a good game, even if you take Star Wars out of it.
It's a solid action puzzle platform weird mashup.
The closest I can relate it to is like Dark Souls. It's almost got the same posture system as Sekiro, but luckily it has optional difficulties for us plebes that suck at those games. So, which is still relatively on the challenging side, because I played on Jedi Master, and it was super freaking hard. And at some points I would tone it down to Jedi Knight, and it would still be challenging. And the lightsaber play is out of this world. You have the single saber that is by far the most versatile of the techniques. There's the double-edged lightsaber, which is really good for crowd control.
It's good for mauling.
Oh, God. And then the split saber is just cool as fuck. So, there are many unique ways to play Fallen Order. It's got some good puzzles. It has a good story. Great music. You would think it was done by John Williams himself, which it's not. It's very Star Wars music. Will set the mood for the entire game and just get every Star Wars fan excited.
Zombies, chainsaw bayonets, and lightsabers are really cool, but nothing kicks as much ass as Devil May Cry 5. It is all about the action, and it is extremely good at it. I believe it's the best action game ever made, with 3 completely distinct fighting styles between the 3 protagonists, and hella good boss fights. There's nothing close to like the slick action of Devil May Cry, and nothing's really ever come close in my opinion. Bayonetta tickled it a little bit, but it didn't quite get there. God of War was a lot more brutish, but in my experience, Devil May Cry is the king of action, and Devil May Cry 5 is the king of the Devil May Cry series. Dante is back and more badass than ever. Nero is also really badass with all his robot arms that change up the gameplay significantly. I don't like V, but Dante and Nero more than make up for that with kicking the shit out of every demon that comes across them.
My favorite part, I had to interrupt, sorry. But my favorite part is by far the theme song, because I haven't actually played the game.
Oh, man.
Devil Trigger, oh my god, it makes me want to just kick an ass just listening to it.
It comes on when you're kicking enough ass.
That is amazing.
It's amazing. If you never play any other Devil May Cry, just look up a story summary and pick up 5. It is so amazing. I was pulling off crap with Dante that would be like a quick time event in any other action game. The final boss was incredible. The story, while cheesy, because it is Devil May Cry, was awesome and really intriguing to go through, as surprising as that is for Devil May Cry. But, in short, Devil May Cry 5 kicks the shit out of everything else on this list as far as action goes. If you like action, fun, and kick-assery, you should pick it up.
If you're looking for a kick-ass action game, probably don't go with Untitled Goose Game. But it is a fantastic foray into the world of being a goose.
Yeah?
Like you would think that it sounds super, super dumb. And it kind of is.
People don't like geese.
But you go in, and from the first mission, from the get-go, you're just like, I dig it. Like, you gotta put the rake in the lake, you gotta
just mess with
set
everybody.
up a picnic, like,
I will say that
go
it
around
does
stealing
have
stuff.
one of the quickest hooks of any game ever. Like, once you start waddling, you're in it.
You
and
can
you're
put
in
the
it to
wings
win
out
it.
and everything. It's so good.
Yeah,
There's a specific button to honk.
Yeah, you can honk,
And
you can, like, flap your wings and put your head down,
Yeah,
When it was
and that's about it, but
When
that's
it-
all you need.
When it was first coming out, people were calling it Metal Goose Solid, and I wholeheartedly agree.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just
there is a surprising amount of sneaking around in that game.
Yeah,
because you have to get behind people to honk at them to make them fall in puddles and stuff.
Yeah.
Big old long neck asshole sneaky bird untying kids' shoes, stealing his toys, making him have to buy his toy back from the store. Stupid kid.
Yeah, there's so much. It's one of the best games where you're the villain, I guess. But,
Yeah.
I mean, you're just an asshole goose, so I guess you are the villain. Because you do lock that lady in the garage. But
And you
Goose
scare
Game
that kid so much.
it took over media for a while.
Yeah, I've
and
never
it
seen
was-
that many memes about an indie game.
Especially one that was like a week old.
And it was such a simple art style, you could emulate it easily and make your own memes, and it was so good.
If you've ever been curious about being a goose, I mean, first of all, that's a little weird. Or if you just love being mischievous and just playing pranks on people and stuff, this game is definitely worth a gander.
2019 was home to 2 really stellar remakes. One of them was Resident Evil 2, which none of us played. Not a fan.
Sorry, Resident Evil fans.
I don't do horror. If it's a movie, I can do it. It doesn't matter. But if it's a game and I'm actually in it, no, can't do it. Can't do it at all. So the remake I'm talking about is a lot more bubbly, but just as horrific if you think too hard about it. Link's Awakening remake. Damn it, they did a good job. It was basically a shot-for-shot remake, but it remade what it had to, which was the controls. Jesus,
Yes.
that made that
Oh,
game
man.
so
Going-
much better.
From 2 buttons to 4 is incredible.
Way less menu management, and hell, Game Explain was talking about they replayed the original and they counted how many times they had to pause and go to the inventory, and I think it was over 300 times through the course of the
I
game.
mean, that seems about right. It
Sounds a
definitely-
little low, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's like a 6-hour game, and you spent like 3 of it in your menus on the Game Boy.
and having the Pegasus boots equipped to a button changed everything. Having the sword and shield on their own button changed everything. And yeah, it made the game shorter, but that's a good kind of shorter. The music was redone masterfully as well, and everything about it is bubbling with personality. I love Link's Awakening the original, but I love this remake even more. Everything feels a little more alive, but also they look like toys. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, toys with like dead eyes.
If we could say one negative thing about it, it would be it kind of sounds like we're feeling entitled and asking for too much, but they didn't really add too much to it.
They added Dompe's dungeon, but I wish they hadn't.
They added that,
yeah.
And it was, I would say it was mixed, but I don't think I've seen anyone that really cares for it that much. You either are meh about it or you hate it, and I just ignored it.
If you have never played Link's Awakening, get the remake, don't get the original. It's still fantastic, but the remake did everything better in my opinion. The world is small, but it is dense as hell. Something to do around every corner. The music is fantastic. The story is at first cute and weird, and then it gets a hell of a lot darker than you're gonna think it will.
For me personally, 2019 was very good quality-wise because 4 of my favorite franchises got new installments in the games, and one of those that is very close to the top of my favorite franchise is Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 3 was a seriously long wait coming, but I think it was worth it. I loved Kingdom Hearts 3.
It's a good one.
So you start off, and it gets you right into it from the get-go. It's just serious action, all ramped up, everything is happening, and it just works really well. Like, Kingdom Hearts 1 had a great feel to it. Kingdom Hearts 2 also had a great feel to it, but like the flow of the combat was a little weird with the mission structure and everything.
Especially with Hades, when like you go to fight Hades and it's like 3 times where you go, hey, guys, let's go. Why?
But Kingdom Hearts 3 took the great qualities of both of them and put them together. I honestly haven't played a series. Yeah, I haven't played a game in a series quite like Kingdom Hearts 3 that just had so many games culminate in the end of this one game. Like, everything was happening. I even made basically a research paper about what is going on in Kingdom Hearts to get ready for Kingdom Hearts 3. And stuff was happening so fast, even I couldn't keep up. But I've played it twice already this year, which should tell you how good it is. And 2, this game just brought everything Kingdom Hearts has and did it very well, in my opinion. I loved it from start to finish. I think it was worth the wait. I just wish it wasn't as long.
Moving on to one of the 3 threes in the top 5. Rank number 3, Luigi's Mansion 3. Luigi's Mansion 3 was absolutely incredible. If you think I was talking about world density with Link's Awakening, Luigi's Mansion has it beat. There is a secret around every corner, and if there's not a secret, you can make it do weird stuff with your vacuum. If it doesn't do anything else, your vacuum moves it. There is something to do everywhere. Secrets everywhere, booze everywhere, hidden jewel ghosts everywhere.
Money everywhere.
Money everywhere. And
Luigi racks up in this game.
yeah, and there's something to do with it at the end of the game, so that's fun. And that was, during the game, not at the end of the game. During the game, you can buy power-ups and stuff with it, which, it was okay. I prefer just the mindless collecting, but some of those golden bones did come in handy, I'm not gonna lie. Those bosses were kind of challenging and insanely creative. The only one I didn't like is the guy in the pool in the basement. I hated that fight. But other than that, the bosses were just stellar. As creative and fun as the bosses were, Luigi is probably the most creative thing this game did.
Luigi was my favorite part of the game. The puzzles you could do with him and Luigi were just ridiculous.
When that ghost tried to scare him and he just blankly stared at it.
Yeah, he's creepy.
Luigi was fantastic. His puzzles, the puzzles that you needed him for were some of the best in the game. And all around, Luigi's Mansion 3 did in a similar way what Kingdom Hearts 3 did. It brought what was good about Luigi's Mansion 1, what was good about Dark Moon, and brought them together in the best way it possibly could have been.
One of the most divisive games we have seen in a long time was Pokemon Sword and Shield. It had a lot of good press coming out, but it had a lot of bad press too. And some of it was warranted, like the no national dex. I mean, personally, I probably wasn't going to fill it out anyway, but I like having the option.
Yeah, it just kind of sucks, but...
It just seems like it was a random lottery of, like, the B-lister Pokemon that made it in. So that also was kind of like a slap in the face.
And how was Charmander like the one starter from any other
it's
gen?
very odd. We thought all starters would be safe. But
I thought all starters, definitely. But the game, it flowed really, really well. The wild area was fantastic. That was so much fun. The Pokemon franchise needs to keep that going.
And expand it.
Yes.
If anything was a negative about this game, it was that the wild area wasn't in the story enough. It should have been there.
Yeah, it was
a lot more. You have to go into it
like
twice.
A side chapter, and
it's the funnest thing to do in that game by far. Wandering around, seeing it, mainly just to see the Pokemon living. Like, take that awesome aspect from Let's Go and just kept it going, dialed it up to the next level because different Pokemon come out for different weather, and it's like they actually lived there.
Yeah, and like different times of day matter.
We're forgetting one important thing. You can skip the tutorials.
That also was very welcome. But probably the biggest thing about these games is Dynamaxing. And the main thing that utilizes this is the over-the-top, absolutely ridiculous in the best possible way gym battles.
Oh, those gyms were just amazing.
It's like they saw that Sun and Moon was definitely missing, like people were missing the gyms when they played them, and they were just like, oh, well, we'll bring them back and then some for y'all. And
the challenge felt more like it was ramped up a little from Sun and Moon too. It's not like that hard, but there were a couple fights here and there where I was like, oh shit.
I fainted in this game. I didn't in Sun and Moon. But Pokemon Sword and Shield, while had some controversy leading up to it, we think it was definitely a good game. We enjoyed it a lot. We weren't disappointed with too much in it, just some little nitpicks here and there, and we thought it was one of the best flowing campaigns of the Pokemon franchise.
Now we made it. We're at number 1, the cream of the crop, the tippity top. Borderlands 3.
B-Lands! Yeah.
Holy crap. They just pulled out all the stops on that game.
Another third in the franchise for this year.
Oh, yeah.
Another long wait from a sequel. Borderlands 3 brought it, and it didn't quite culminate as much as the other sequels did on this list because Borderlands really didn't need it because Borderlands pretty much improved from the first one, and the second one was there, and then the third one just made some minor tweaks, and that was about it. They added in alternate firing modes for gun manufacturers, which
that
really opened up the variety.
That added so much to the game, even though it's something that sounds so little.
Yeah,
and there's not one gun manufacturer that I don't like. That's a new one for Borderlands.
And the gunplay is just as clean as it's always been, and you become an overpowered monster just as fun, if not more so, than in the past games, because Beastmaster is absolutely ridiculous.
Amara is the tankiest brawler. She's so good if you set her up right. I basically can't die.
And I had so much fun playing around with Iron Bear, just letting him go loose, blow up everything in sight, and it's just a great time.
Unfortunately, we didn't have a Zane. That would have completed the team.
Yeah.
I did my second playthrough as Zane. Zane is really fun. I feel like he would definitely complement a lot more in multiplayer, but him freezing everybody with headshots and using my shield and my drone is really cool. But Borderlands 3, like, the guns are absolutely just ridiculous.
Yes, they feel handcrafted, but they're not. They're randomly generated.
Not to mention, we gotta talk about this. You go off of Pandora, and it is the most refreshing thing they could have done to Borderlands without changing the absolute core of the series, because you just planet hop and it's basically just different biomes, more Borderlands.
One thing about Borderlands that doesn't get enough attention is the story and the lore, and this ramped everything up. Now, didn't have a better villain than Borderlands 2, but I never expected it to. But
yeah,
Jesus.
I mean, it's hard to top Handsome Jack.
I definitely wanted to kill these villains a lot more than Handsome
is
Jack.
true.
So in that sense, they're better.
There's one part of the game I'm real mad about that I just remembered, but that's okay. Borderlands 3 brought so much more to the table for the Borderlands universe, lore-wise. I can't wait to see how it shakes out in the eventual Borderlands 4. We know more about the sirens than we ever have. We know a lot more about the universe than we ever have.
Obviously, all of us are big Borderlands fans, so that is why it's our game of the year. Borderlands 3 practically swept it across all of our lists. It was number one or close to it because we love Borderlands. We love playing it solo. We love playing it together. We just love Borderlands and can't get enough of it. So obviously it was going to be our number one pick. It might not be yours, but that's fine. You can have yours. We have ours. Borderlands gets it for us because 2019 was a great year in gaming, and Borderlands just brought us the most enjoyment out of all of them.